What's up, everybody? I am Ty Marcellus, creator of New World Comics, and I'm creating this video to tell you about New World Comics. This is our introduction to our YouTube channel and to the comic universe as a whole, and we'll get more videos out for you. We'll talk about those at the end. But here's the basics of what New World Comics is. So New World Comics is this big comic book multiverse that I've created. And then my artist, Nico Turan from England, has been helping me out with all of the art. But the comic book multiverse is focused on diversity and inclusion, bringing more colored characters to this big comic book multiverse and the comic book medium as a whole. But with that diversity and inclusion, the story of New World Comics itself, the main universe, focuses on two main characters, a male and a female main character. And those two are Night Wraith, who's featured in our first and only published book so far, and Skybreaker. Night Wraith being a ghost who was born into slavery and then died to become a ghost. And because of his ghostly powers, he's able to exist into the modern day. And that's how we meet some of our other characters, including Skybreaker, who got her powers through some human experimentation that plays a big role in the story later. Both characters playing huge roles in this story. So another thing besides just bringing diversity and inclusion into the story is that we have a clever writing technique, or at least I find it to be clever. And I won't tell you that I'm the first to use it or that it's something you've never seen before. But I do have a feeling that it is very original and will blow your mind. But I can't tell you what it is. You'll just have to wait and see. But it is a really cool writing technique that draws you into the story and, without saying too much, will say gives you a hand in what's happening. We'll say that. So the last thing, though, that we're trying to do with this comic book universe is we are avoiding any retcons whatsoever, which is why, as you'll see in just a moment, we have an entire outline of this New World Comics universe that's actually completed. There's 7 phases of it, completely finished. The storyline is done. And so there will be a lot of Easter eggs to pick up on as well throughout the books because, we know exactly what's going to happen all the way to the end. So let's show you that Dropbox then. I won't, show you enough to spoil things, but I'll give you a little preview into what we have going on. Hey everybody, so this is what I'm talking about when I talk about the outline for this universe and not having any retcons. But this is just phase 1. This is where this all started in 2016. You can see stories with settings and some other things that, we don't necessarily need to get into. But scrolling down through this, we have all these characters. I used a free program to make these characters. You can see Skybreaker and Night Wraith's original designs. But I use this free program, that's why they're all in basically the same pose. But then I allow my artist Nico and other artists that I would hire for this to elaborate then on these characters. But yeah, this thing is 133 pages long. There is a lot of characters and stories going on. And this is just phase 1. So when you go back to my Dropbox here, you can see that there are 7 total phases of this. We got an origin of how this universe started, some saviors of the universe, some of the top guys, a bunch of other stuff. But yeah, 7 total phases of stories. Each phase would introduce an average of 100 characters to the story, which is why with this and the multiverse that I'm creating, we're sitting at around, well, not just around, but I'm looking at the specific number here. There's 2,234 characters total in this multiverse. In New World specifically, this finished storyline of 7 phases, there's 1,030 exactly. I wanted to end on an even number when I got close to the end. I wanted to end on exactly 1,000, but it didn't quite work out. So anyway, there is the huge outline of this multiverse that you can see in the Dropbox. And so what we have going on here as well with the, speaking of the 7 phases here, Is each phase, like I said, introduces around 100 characters, but actually we start to drop off because each phase will end in some kind of major world ending battle that will involve pretty much all the characters in that phase. And that battle will result in the death of many characters, and then we will move on with new characters shuffled in, and then the survivors of that phase. So there is a lot of death to be had, a lot of new characters to be had, a lot of cycling in and out. But that's what each phase represents, is kind of this build up to this one major battle, what we could call a comic event once we get to that point, to shuffle in and out our characters. So there are real stakes in this as well. So when we're talking about no retcons, we're also talking about characters dying in these battles, and it being permanent. I will admit there might be some planned returns of characters, but for the most part, unless it benefits the story, the death will be permanent. So there is the Dropbox part. So, like I said, we have one book published so far, which is Night Wraith, issue number one, his origin story. This is available on my publisher's website, itascabooks.com, which gets me the most money if you want to buy it from there. But it's also available on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, anywhere that you like to get your books, really. But Night Wraith issue number one, like I said, is our first and only published book that we published in 2020 during the pandemic. I, was bored and had nothing to do, and so that's kind of what I decided to do once I had I would say probably 500 characters in this universe. So publishing was really cool. I did it through Beavers Pond Press, which is a local publisher where I'm from in Minnesota. So future plans beyond publishing is hopefully we're trying right now to do more shows. We have one coming up in July that we'll talk about soon on our social media. But doing more shows to sell more books and make money to publish another book again, which has been proving a little difficult with our budget, which we'll talk about later. And right now, to market this universe, my artist Nico and I are working on rendering every single character in the universe, all 1,030 of them, with Nico's art. And that way, we have this not only stockpile of characters that we can post on a weekly basis and introduce you to each one of them as we go, but we also are going to try and build something of an encyclopedia, kind of like what you already saw in Dropbox, but a kind of encyclopedia that you can use to not only get an in-depth look of this universe and introduce yourself to all of its characters and all of its inner workings, but also that people can use for tabletop games, which I got the idea for at one of my conventions where someone said that that's something gamers need. I'm not much of a tabletop gamer myself, but if you are looking for a book of characters, we are working on that. So publishing again in the future is kind of a question mark for us right now, as we talk about what our budget is in the later part of this video, but we do hope to publish more books in the future as soon as possible. But right now we're working on building up our website to have a digital store, which is why our website is down at the moment. And so hopefully getting a digital store up there soon where you can buy PDFs of our comics in the meantime, which will be a lot cheaper for us than publishing physical copies. But the last thing that we plan on doing in the future is to reach out to random publishers, people in the industry, and just see who's interested in these ideas and see what we can make out of it with certain partnerships. And that's especially what we're looking for on top of everything is, partners who have marketing skills, writing skills, artist skills, publishing contacts, anyone that would like to help us out with this business using their skills, and even investors, anyone who would like to spend their money helping us out and getting us to the places that we need to be. So struggle wise though of this company, like I said, we'd kind of talk about, first of all, we are a new company trying to get out there with more marketing, just more eyes on us about what we are and what we're trying to do, hence the purpose of this video. Budget wise, which I keep kind of coming back to, is the biggest struggle. I work my day job, normal job, as a teacher, and teachers, as you know, don't make a lot of money. I'm also a new dad, kind of new dad. My daughter is turning 1 this Thursday, actually, as of making this video. And so with that, a lot of my money, of course, has to go to her, to the house, my time, to being a dad and just being an adult, which is, as some of you adults know, very stressful. So it's hard to kind of build up a budget then for this side project, which is why we're looking for as much help as we can get, and why it's slow going, but we are still pushing for it. But especially to marketing, I'm trying to get better at marketing. Like I said, we would be looking for help, but with almost no budget, help would have to be volunteer help. But I'm trying to get better at marketing, hence making this video and making future videos like it. So speaking of future videos, to end here, things that you can look out for, is I want to start a series that's called, at least I like to call it, Tyler the Writer. And that series will be me doing various things, like talking about how I would write certain stories, especially in Hollywood. Like, I have ideas for my version of the Blade movie that's been on delay since 2019. I have ideas for how the Sony Spider-Man multiverse could have worked out. And then I also plan on doing some kind of book and movie reviews, maybe in that same series, maybe in a separate series, but reviewing, stories that are out there as well as adding my spin to them and, talking about how I would maybe improve them. I also want to do some videos using my skills as a teacher, where I'll teach you some things that I teach in my English classes, just about writing books and, from experience as both a writer and a teacher of that, just kind of the various things that I use in my classroom. So I might do some things such as that. And then, of course, you can look for more videos from New World Comics, introducing you to our characters, getting into more specifics of the universe, the multiverse that we're creating. I'm also, as far as future plans go, too, working on some novels in the meantime while we work on building art and marketing for New World Comics. So maybe we'll talk about novels that I'm working on in the future as well. But I hope you stick around here for New World Comics and bear with us as we go slowly through this process of introducing over 2,000 characters to you, because it truly is a giant universe that I'm really excited to show you. And there's a lot of cool stuff that's going to happen, that I've written. It's really great stuff. I can't wait. So stick here for it. Like and subscribe the video, or sorry, like the video and subscribe to the channel. You can tell if this is my first time. I've never done this before, but do all the things that you do on YouTube. But thanks for watching, and I will tell you more about this universe, multiverse, very soon.